Okay, I think we have quite some people already in, so I guess we can give it a slow start. So good afternoon, everyone, once again. My name is Justina Bieliauskaitė. I'm Innovations Director at the European Digital SME Alliance, one of the key organizers of the event today. So as our name perhaps suggests, we are a European umbrella organization for ICT, small and medium-sized enterprises. I guess most of you joining the webinar today are exactly representatives of this group. And in our alliance, we of course have a number of different priorities representing SMEs in policy, ICT policy making and standardization. And as one of our missions, we see the support for you to both use and adopt standards, but also participate in the creation of ICT standards. So I can imagine that many of you are already starting to do that, or doing that, or at least have high interest to understand how that works and what kind of support you can get. So this is exactly what we are doing, and this is exactly what we want to share with you today in this meeting. This meeting we are organizing also in a flagship initiative, StandICT, as a part of StandICT work that we are doing, and my colleagues will present more opportunities and exactly the project immediately after. Gabriela, maybe you can give us quickly a next slide just to see the agenda for today. So I will definitely not be long, and will pass floor to Gabriela to continue a little bit with a few words just to understand on StandICT. And then we have some of our standardization experts who are already leading in their fields on standardization activities that they are doing. So we will have three very inspiring stories from Julian, Christiana, and Emilia. After this, we will hear a bit about StandICT mentorship program and how you can get in touch with people like Julian, Cristiano, or Emilia, and how we can support you. And we will have here a story also from Stefan about his participation in the program. And then we will be heading towards the conclusions with our colleague Knut, who will tell us a bit more about the resources that you might want to use before you embark to standardization journey, or also in the process of doing that. So Gabriela, I will give the floor to you to do a quick introduction and then pass it to our experts.
Thank you very much. So, good afternoon, everybody. Gabriele Casalini from the European Digital SME Alliance, and I participate to the StandICT 2026 project. And the project is supporting experts and SMEs participating in standards, also leading work items and projects. But before we start, for those who maybe not be much aware on the importance of ICT standards, why we need to talk more about standards, especially in the field, because every technology, new technology, needs to be interconnected and needs to start from some baselines, which are of course standards, in order to enable interoperability between the different equipment and services. There are many examples here, but one of the most famous one is, for instance, USB-C. But standards are also very important to ensure safety and reliability of all the equipment and services. Most importantly, especially from a company perspective, participating in standardization also open up a lot of opportunities in making business. So being the first providing solution and creating value from your products or services, including also complying with both national and European regulation, especially in this moment when we see a lot of regulatory activities, especially from the European Commission. I just wanted to mention the Digital Product Passport, the Data Act, the AI Act, and they received a lot of standardization requests from the European Commission, especially at the level of European standardization bodies, SNCF, ETSI, and ETSI, so that harmonized standards will be created, and products and services put on the market will need to comply with the regulation. just a moment. Can you perhaps see the slides?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
Gabriela, we see them well.
Perfect. Sorry, there's just a problem on my end. So going forward, the mission of StandICT 2026 is to push the interest of the European Union within the ICT standardization landscape. The projects, I would not tell about everything, the ecosystem, but it provides opportunities for the standardization community and the ICT SMEs to participate in standardization through funding, especially in open call, on which I will tell more about later, but also produce reports and other activities such as events, also in this case, that facilitate the participation of standard from all the stakeholders. Also, the project produce a lot of educational material on which our colleague Knut will talk more about later, that also support the creation of the necessary skills, not only to participate, but to lead in standardization. On the next slide, we can also see...
Sorry, Gabriel, some participants are asking you to make the slides bigger. Can you do that?
Okay.
Okay,
Yes.
fantastic. Bravo. Okay.
We can try. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Maybe if you put them in the slideshow, so it will become bigger.
Okay. Do you see it better now?
No, now it is smaller, in fact.
Okay. Let me try again. Sorry.
Okay.
Can you see the slides now?
Yes, and can you go to the slideshow and make it bigger?
It's now in the slideshow.
Is it? Because we can see the side slides on the left-hand side. So it's not this, this is not on slideshow. Go to this icon at the bottom. No, don't remove it. Go, get it back, and I will guide you how to do it.
Or Gabriela, I can also try to share from my side and make them big.
Yes, please, because I am in presentation mode, so the screen is bigger. I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want me to try to?
Yes, thank you. Maybe I have the problem with the PC.
Maybe.
Okay. Let me try. Share. Yes. Is it big?
Yes,
It is.
very
good.
good.
Thank you very much. And sorry, apologies for the technical issue.
No, it's okay. It's okay. This is not a problem.
Thank you. So, as I was telling, under StandICT initiative, we have the fellowship program in which almost 3 million euros are being disbursed over a period of 9 open calls. We are now at the 7 open call, and I will present a bit more later. In addition, we have the EUOS Standards Observatory, in which we gathered more than 4,000 ICT standards. So you can go there on the web page and filter to find the relevant standards for your sector. In addition, we've developed many training and education modules. So it is possible to train standardization. Okay, so if we go on the next slide, I will leave then the floor to actually our experts that are leading the standardization efforts in their respective field. And I would start with Julien. So the floor is yours, and thank you for coming here, and feel free to share your slides.
I will. Thank you, everyone. Hello, and you should be able to see my screen. So I will try to to give some insight on related to my journey on standard, my standard activities. It's been about 13 years. I'm kind of connected to standards, and you will see that although I've been involved a lot in standards, that's absolutely not, and as many of us, that's not our core business activities. We are in standard activities for different reasons, but not in general, not only for the sake of developing standards.
There was an issue actually, it logged me out.
If you can mute yourself, please. So a bit of my background to understand a bit the journey. I started as a security researcher. From security, I moved and expanded my field of expertise toward different topics: cryptography, cybersecurity, privacy enhancing technologies, blockchain, biometrics, AI, digital identity, etc. And then I moved more toward business innovation, and in particular taking some several leadership roles, and in particular in a large organization, at some point moved toward an entrepreneurship journey. When it was 7 years ago, I started to be involved in building businesses and around innovation related to security technologies in digital identity, cybersecurity, and blockchain space. How I started to be involved in standards. It was kind of related to my involvement in a large organization by that time, and when I started to lead a team of security experts, I had someone in particular already involved in standard activities, monitoring for the sake of my team and part of the business I was involved in, cybersecurity standards and in particular biometric standards. So I started to monitor and supervise a guy doing this. But then at some point, I started to be involved myself for different reasons. And this is really when I started to be involved in international committees, in fact. So 10 years ago, I was registered as a officially as a French expert in the French national standardization body, AFNOR. And then I started to be involved in 1 and 2, in fact, international committees in ISO and IEC, jointly between ISO and IEC. Mostly on biometric, security, privacy, and identity management. And then I started to kind of build my own connection, my network in standards, and as part of the large organization I was involved in, well, about 15,000 employees. I was the core representative for this organization for the topics that I was following. And let's say the goal until 2017 on my side was mostly either monitoring what was going to impact in a way the business of the organization, or how to influence leading some of the standards in order to increase business opportunities for the organization. And then late 2017, as I said, I moved more towards the entrepreneurship journey, and I started to be involved more as a very small SME representative. When I say very small, at the beginning, only one person in one company, really the smallest version of a SME. And still kind of the same objectives, but quite dependent of the business priorities, depending of windows of opportunities, a timeline in different projects. But at the end, the way I saw and I still see my involvement in standard is kind of a way on my side to sustain innovation and basically innovative business model or innovative products that I'm building. But the good thing by being also in an SME and kind of not representing a large organization is that I also have the capability to be much more flexible and free with respect to my convictions. So I'm also with the time involved as trying to push some of my beliefs in some of the standards. Like I'm much involved. I'm really much involved in pushing toward more and more privacy enhancing technology, and part of what motivates me in some decision on following some standards. Very quickly, just for the sake of those new to standards, there are different levels. There are international levels that are kind of related to the World Trade Organization, ISO, IEC, ITUT, are the core organizations there for standard development at international level. You have seen on the Gabriele slide, SENELEC and ETSI, I guess, as well, more at the European level. For European, there are the European official European standardization organization, and then you have the national layers at the bottom of the slide. That's not the only one. There are many industry consortiums, some consumer associations. There are also various technical standard organizations. IEEE is quite well known, W3C as well, IETF on the internet side as well. And there are connections between all those bodies. On my side, on cybersecurity side, let's say, one of the core standards that is well known is one jointly developed within an ISO IEC committee, 2701 series, and which is developed in fact in SC27. And all the related standards and all those dependent on 2701 are also developed in general within this same committee. So if we look at some details, in fact, in 2014, I started to be involved in SC27, also in the so-called committee SC37, which is related to biometric and some industrial consortium. By that time, I was mostly a technical expert. And then by being more confident and comfortable with the way those standards were developed, I started to be involved in many more committees, not at the same level for all those committees, but now I think I'm involved in more than 10 international committees, some European ones, international ones, some Euro committees, some other industrial consortiums. And it could be on different ways. Either I'm a technical expert contributing really technically on the development of the standards. Either I'm helping to maintain the relationship between different committees, different bodies. We call it liaison representative. I'm also leading some projects as project leader. And I'm also even convening, let's say, chairing a working group, which is the one which is joint between the blockchain committee and the information security committee, joint working group. And sometimes I'm only an observer, trying to understand what's happening, trying to see whether there are some conflicts between standards, dependencies, and conflicts with respect to my, let's say, business priorities, and so on. And this way, I move from my core expertise to many different aspects, in particular financial services, which are absolutely not related to my business activities, but still connected in some way on the way standards are developed today, because some of our standards are quite often used by the financial services. All of this is, I should say, it's thanks to, well, my own company, but also supported by StandICT, StandICT 2026, Blockstand, C-Blocks. That's really great to have those European Union related supports, because basically as an SME, it's a way to be sure that I can dedicate time on this. So if I would have to make some suggestions for SMEs, and they are kind of generic, but still important to keep in mind, well, you have to get into a core area of interest for sure. I think you have at the very beginning to find a buddy to help you, and then to learn the dynamics and the way of working of the different groups. And then if you come with your key expertise, knowledge of the stakeholders from your business experience, I'm sure you can have impact. And that's really the way to grow and to optimize the impact versus the time spent, the resources that you involve in those committees. Depending of your area of interest, from my side, of course, there is a lot to be done on identity topics because there are many initiatives in Europe. But for instance, decentralized identity, you have various groups that you can follow if you are interested into it. I would say, for instance, one topic that is still to be addressed is how to have something which is really privacy by technical design, preserving in digital identity wallets. And probably going into the European related committees will be helpful if you are interested in that. There are a lot happening on blockchain side. I'm sure Christina will say a few words on this. But for instance, if you are interested in governance of DAOs, still to be addressed in terms of standards, there is one working group in TC07 that would be of interest. Something that is under discussion between different stakeholders today, but not yet in the standard world, is how to share information around cybersecurity aspect, vulnerabilities between blockchain protocols. And I think it would be part of my group at some point if we will. And so on. There is a lot happening on AI. You will have also Emilia talking about AI. just showing one potential topic, how to have something which is fully decentralized in terms of governance for GenAI. It's probably a topic of interest for some of us. And there is a lot also happening on the cryptography side, in particular related to post-quantum transition. And if you, in a way, if you want to have something which is at international level, it's probably in ISO that you will go for that. If you want to have something which has kind of requirements to enforce rules at the EU level, then probably you will go to GTC 13, which is developing some standards for the European Union under some of the mandates coming from the European Union. So as an overall overview, not trying to be too much technical, but well, if there are any questions, I'm happy to answer to it right now or later on by email or by through the chat.
Thank you very much, Julian. That was a perfect overview. Thank you very much again. And I will leave directly the floor to Christiana.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Let me share my slides now. Okay, I guess you see the slides, yes? Do you see the slides?
Yes.
Now, yes.
Yes.
Okay, now do you see them bigger? You do. You do see them bigger. So, yeah, thank you for the invitation to be here with you today. Thank you to all the participants of the StandICT Standardization Leadership Webinar. So today I will be presenting on I will discuss the crucial role of SMEs in standardization, but my discussion will be a little bit different than Julien's. So I will focus particularly on the SMEs' contribution in shaping the future of the industries. So a pivotal aspect of business operations is the active participation of small and medium-sized enterprises in standardization bodies. As we explore this topic, it's important to understand not just the why, but also the how of this involvement, especially in relation to laws, regulations, and standards. And why to laws? I'm a lawyer by profession. I'm a practicing lawyer, and I'm the managing partner of the hybrid law tech firm. So the law firm is operating in the intersection of technology, and especially emerging technologies, regulations, and standards. So I'm a member in various technical committees, like more than 25, on an ISO level and EU level. Some of these you can see on the slide in front of you. But what I wanted to share before I go on is that, as we all know, technology is evolving faster than ever, bringing both opportunities and challenges. In this rapidly changing landscape, the need for standards has become increasingly evident. Standards do what? Standards provide a framework that ensures consistency, reliability, and quality across different technologies and practices. Not only, of course, technologies. So as a lawyer, I have observed firsthand how the legal landscape shifts alongside technological advancements. Legal opinions, for example, that I issue to SMEs, for example, and agreements that I draft for SMEs must adapt to these changes, which is where standards become crucial. By grounding our legal work in established standards, we can offer clearer guidance and protect our clients more effectively. For instance, in cases involving data privacy, adhering to recognized standards like GDPR has shaped our legal strategies and enhanced our ability to advise clients. Standards help reduce ambiguity, ensure compliance, and foster trust among stakeholders, making them essential in our practice as lawyers. Furthermore, it's important to recognize that developing and implementing these standards requires collaboration among lawyers, technologists, and industry leaders. By working together, we can navigate the complexities of technologies and other industries in a way that benefits everyone involved. So allow me to explain what is the relationship between standards, regulations, and laws. From my position as a practicing lawyer, each of these components is essential, and together they interact in a continuous way, informing and reinforcing one another. Laws are established by governments to ensure public safety, protect the environment, and promote fair practices. They set the legal framework within which businesses must operate. Similar regulations, and especially in the EU as well as in other countries, are more specific, like rules and directives that arise sometimes from laws, sometimes standalone, detailing how the laws should be implemented and they provide the guidelines that organizations must follow to comply with legal requirements. As I said before, standards, on the other hand, are developed by industry experts and stakeholders. They operationalize laws and regulations by providing detailed specifications and best practices that businesses can adopt. So this interplay, let's call this interplay. This interplay is very crucial. Effective standards ensure that businesses can meet regulatory requirements efficiently. For instance, in sectors like food safety, energy efficiency, or data protection, standards provide the technical details that help companies comply with regulations. Without proper standards, compliance becomes ambiguous and burdensome, particularly for SMEs that may lack the resources to navigate complex regulatory landscapes. Now, why should SMEs actively participate in these standardization bodies on an ISO level and European level? First of all, is about voice in the process. SMEs often have unique insights and experiences that larger corporations may overlook. By participating, they ensure their specific needs and challenges are represented in the standards that govern their operations. This input can lead to more practical and applicable standards that benefit the entire industry. It's another thing, shaping the regulatory landscape. It is about shaping the regulatory landscape, and they should do that. When SMEs engage in standardization, they help shape the regulations that will impact their businesses. By being part of the conversation, they can influence the development of standards that are balanced, fair, and feasible for all business sizes. It's also about the competitive advantage. Companies that are involved in standards development, can gain early insights into industry trends and emerging technologies. This knowledge can be a significant competitive advantage, allowing SMEs to adapt more quickly than those who are not engaged. It is also about networking opportunities that SMEs will have. Participation in standardization committees provides SMEs with valuable networking opportunities. They can connect with industry peers, regulators, and potential partners, fostering collaborations that can lead to innovation and growth. It is also about improved compliance and reduced costs. And SMEs are looking for this, especially for this one. By being involved in the creation of standards, SMEs can better understand compliance requirements, leading to reduced costs associated with meeting regulation. They can also advocate for standards that consider the resource constraints that many SMEs face. Let's consider some practical examples. In the tech industry, in the tech sector, SMEs play a crucial role in developing standards, for example, for cybersecurity. Their participation ensures that standards are not solely dictated by larger players, but reflect the realities of smaller businesses that may not have extensive IT resources. This collective input leads to robust standards that enhance security without overburdening SMEs. In addition, SMEs gain opportunities to network and collaborate with large technology developers, regulators, and standard-setting bodies. This collaboration can bridge the gap between small and large players in the industry and facilitate technology transfer and best practices. Also, standards created with input from SMEs are more likely to be relevant and acceptable to a wider range of businesses. This ensures the inclusion of diverse perspectives, leading to more balanced and fair standards, similar in the manufacturing standards. So in manufacturing, for example, SMEs involved in standard setting can advocate for standards that promote sustainability while being economically viable. For example, they can push for standards that facilitate the adoption of eco-friendly practices without imposing prohibitive costs. In addition, their participation in standards allows them to level the field of global competition by influencing standards that could affect their market positioning and access to global supply chains. And finally, SMEs are often highly innovative due to their agility and ability to experiment. They can thus push for innovation within the manufacturing industry by sharing insights from niche markets or specialized areas of manufacturing. So lastly, my last slide is this one. And I want to say that in conclusion, the active participation of SMEs in standardization bodies is not just beneficial. It is essential. It allows these enterprises to shape their own regulatory and standardization landscape, ensuring that the resulting standards are practical, are equitable, are conducive to growth. By engaging in this process, SMEs can help create a more innovative, competitive, and sustainable business environment. From an emerging technology standpoint, by engaging in this process, SMEs can create a future where emerging technologies are harnessed responsibly, driving growth and opportunity for businesses of all sizes. Therefore, I encourage all SMEs to consider the importance of this involvement, not only for their own benefit, but for the health of the entire industry. Together, we can build a framework that not only complies with laws and regulations, but also fosters innovation and competitiveness in a rapidly changing market. And thank you very much. Thank you. If you have any questions, please feel free.
Thank you very much, Cristiana. If anybody has questions, we can address them later. And being mindful of time, I will just give the floor to Emilia for a more focused topic on AI. Thank you, Emilia.
Thank you, Gabriele. Being so inspired by the previous speakers, I also added a little bit on my own experience and also how we see the transposition from the legal perspective, being from the technical side. So just to continue on Cristiana's insights, which I found both Julian and Cristiana really valuable. Let me start sharing. Can you see the full screen?
Yes, we do.
Perfectly.
Perfect. Thank you. So I'm Emilia Tantar. I'm the Chief Data and AI Officer and the founder of Black Swan Lux. I will speak about that in a bit. And I'm also the convener in StandICT Joint Technical Committee 21 of the Working Group 2 of the operational aspects. And I'm, as in standardization, I'm the president and the head of delegation for Luxembourg in standardization in artificial intelligence at the international level in ISO IEC GTC 1 SC42 and in European level in StandICT GTC 21. I will present a little bit of my path, how I developed on that, how I see it from a technical and academical perspective where I come from. And then I would also propose some homework for those of you which would like to engage in AI standardization. We have some needs, and I would really appreciate your feedbacks and you engaging with us. So the purpose of the hearing document is to offer a high-level view on the aspects within AI standardization, the EU AI legislative framework. I'm compiling a number of normative documents and articles on AI, public documents, with a main focus on societal and business-related implications, especially for SMEs. The presentation is intended for dissemination within the limits of the StandICT.EU leadership webinar participants only. Where applicable, the public domain external materials are credited and links are provided to allow referring to the respective originating works and for you to grow on them if you find them useful. So my journey started as a researcher. So more than 20 years ago, more than 20 something years ago, I started doing research. And I think after 15 years, more or less, of research, I created a proof of concept, which was then spin-off of the University of Luxembourg. So we spinned off as the second spin-off of the University of Luxembourg. So new beginnings there as an SME, as a startup, and then deciding to take the SME path. As you see, we had clients and we launched in different markets. In 2015, when we started, AI was a new field. And trustworthiness was, again, another buzzword somewhere there. It was a blue ocean. Everyone could use these terms. There was no technical differentiator. So does the market care about AI trustworthiness in 2015, 2017? Not really. We knew that we are providing trustworthy AI aligned with European values and ethical values, but our advanced AI know-how was not visible. Then we engaged in building up these trust instruments. And the first trust instrument, of course, it is the European level, the UEA Act. So we supported the European Commission with consultancy in building up the different initiatives, and we are still doing that. But we also understood at a technical level, you need standards, that we speak the same language, that we do not fear what we do not understand, but we understand what are the different levels. So it was the National Commission, the ILNAS, which contacted me as an expert. and invited me to participate. And this is how I started in 2018, when international standardization AI started. This is where I started standardization, because there was a need for my business, and the field started having standards. It was really the first moment of standards. And then we registered. This is the path. If you would like to register and you are not already in standardization, you need to register at the national level. You need to become expert at the national level. And then you choose your path. Either you engage with European standards like StandICT and ETSI, either you engage with the international, or you can do both. It depends on when your market is, where your needs are. So we did both, but they grew. So now, if at the beginning we had only 5 working groups, now there are more than 40 work items, so it's impossible to follow everything. You need to focus, and we focus at the European level, as our products are mainly on the European market. There is currently the UEA Act. We knew since 2018 in the European strategy that the horizontal legal framework will come, and the technical specification, they will come from European standards. At that time, there was no European standardization body, but we have the focus group, STandICT, which later spinned off in 2021 in GTC 21. Why these are important? Because if you have a product which goes on the market, and for example, you want to achieve CE marking for product which is AI enabled, you'll need to pass for certification and testing. And in order to pass for certification and testing, the test certification authorities, but also yourself, you need to prepare according to standards. This is the easiest way, because standards are agreed by all industry, by all societal stakeholders, and then you are on a firm ground. You know that your product will be easy to align with the existing legislation. I just took this, Christiana inspired me, so I just pulled over this, how we work, the European Union standardization. There is the regulation that some of you already know, 1025 from 2012 on European standardization. And this legislation, what does it say? It says that in Article 4, European standards are adopted by the European Standardization Organization, namely STandICT and ETSI. They play an important role within the internal market. For instance, when we have harmonized standards, they support the presumption of conformity of products. So it is really important to look at the European lens if you are more mainly focused on the European market. And especially, as Gabriele mentioned at the beginning, we have standardization requests received from the European Commission, so official mandates which are given for data, for AI, for cybersecurity, for blockchain. So I think Gabriele already mentioned and will provide this. So these are concrete requirements, and they are legally binding. The standards which will be provided here will be legally binding. The European standards, they do not work in isolation. I just pulled out what is the relation for the standardization in general. You have, for example, at European level CEN, but there is a Vienna agreement with ISO at international level. The same happens for electrotechnical standardization. We have SENELEC and the Frankfurt Agreement with International Standards. In AI, we have a joint technical committee between CEN and SENELEC, and a joint technical committee between ISO and IEC for AI. So that means we can adopt standard from the international level. We can adopt it either as such, either adapt them according to the European legislation needs. And this is where we are in AI. We are adopting, but we are also potentially adapting some, but we are also building our own standards in areas that they are not covered by the international level. We should also provide this instrument for access to the international market. Now focusing on what we are doing at the European level. According to a standardization request, currently we are focusing in the working group I am convener of, operational aspect, as I found it really relevant for SMEs, how operationally we can apply the standards, that they are cost effective, and they are in such a form that we can directly apply them technically without relying on external consultancy, for example, because this will augment our cost. So we focus on 3 standards. We have received a standardization request to support the UEA Act, and we are focusing currently on the EN AI risk management. So for those of you in software industry, you already know this, it is not new. We focus on AI quality management system for UEA regulatory purposes, and also for providing a conformity assessment framework. Why, and I'm the editor of this, we already have approved for publication a technical report. We analyzed the challenges, and I'll speak a little bit about that. Here you have a little bit of the relation, where we are, where we stand, what is the status 20.60 for risk management. You can still contribute. I encourage you to contribute. The first draft will be circulated by the end of the year. In conformity assessment, we have a technical report approved for publication where we list the challenges and how you could use the conformity assessment frameworks you already have and map them to these new AI components. There might be new AI components to your products. And then we have standard, which will support it as a candidate for harmonization, which will provide the actual AI conformity assessment framework and the ways of bridging. And then we have the quality management system for UEA regulatory purposes. For those of you which are in Brussels, we meet in Brussels 5th to 6th December for the quality management system. If you'd like to contribute, we have 3 more meetings before we go to ballot for the first working draft. And for